Fantastic Four. No, I'm not gonna do that whole thing. Yeah, as you could probably tell, as I'm recording this last night. No, I mean, I'm recording this like a week in advance, so by the time you see this, but as I saw Fantastic Four First Steps last night, and guys, I had a pretty good time. I liked that movie. It was fun. Admittedly, I've never been like a big Fantastic Four person. Not that I dislike them or anything, I just don't really know that much about them beyond like the surface level shit that everybody knows. And I didn't have the highest expectations for this movie either, because I don't know, I just didn't. There was something about the trailers that weren't really interesting me, and I didn't know how I felt about the casting at first, but I'm glad to report that this is a very solid movie, and all of the casting is pretty fucking good, I think. It gave me exactly what I was kind of hoping for, which is, like, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's nice to get exactly what you hope for, because what I was expecting more than what I hoped was just a solid, decent, fun-ass movie. And it definitely gave me that. It didn't waste, it was pretty short compared to a lot of recent MCU projects. It doesn't really waste your time. The visual aesthetic of the 60s and the way their costumes looked was really nice, but I wish that they had leaned into the setting a little bit more than just like what people wore and certain things like that, because that opening crawl was cool, where it's like, here's the Fantastic Four and their whole story and all their adventures they've been on, but goddamn, that was some really high definition fucking television for the 60s, don't you think? But yeah, even as a kid, I was never really that big into the Fantastic Four, and I think that's partially because we didn't really have like that great of movies to get into them as kids. Like people from the 90s and the early 2000s, all they really had until now, all these years later, was the first two Fantastic Four movies and Fant Four Stick, which none of those are really what I want from a movie like this, I don't think. I've seen a lot of people say recently, especially people who are like kind of naysayers or whatever of this film before it came out, that like they were going back and saying like, oh, the first Fantastic Four is really good, the first two Fantastic Fours are really good even. And I'm not one to fucking, you know, I got nostalgia for stuff like that too, but this feels like revisionist history a little bit. Like, these movies, those two movies were never particularly good. Especially not the first one anyway. I haven't seen all of the second one because I tried to watch it once when I was 13 and I fell asleep on accident. So maybe I'll check that one out again someday. However, I do not really like 2005's Fantastic Four movie. I find it to be rather boring and lackluster in a lot of ways. It has some good fight scenes and the effects are pretty decent for the time, but I've never been a big fan of that one. Even as a kid, I didn't really care for it that much because it didn't have the oomph that like Spider-Man did, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Because this movie, I've heard other people say that it felt like just like a whole league of dudes, old dudes in a studio trying to recapture what made Sam Raimi's Spider-Man so good, and they don't really get it. They just don't really have the sauce that movie does. So those movies aren't terrible, but they're not like fucking great per se, and it's not, I'm sure a lot of people who read the Fantastic Four comics for real would not call those like the definitive movies. I don't know though, because I haven't read that much of their comics at all. I don't know if, yes, I had a couple when I was a kid that I really liked. I had this one, it might be around here somewhere, but I don't feel like looking for it, so maybe I'll just insert an image of it or something, but it was like The Thing versus the Hulk or something. Very fun little comic, like that a lot. That was more of like my Fantastic Four as a kid or whatever. If anything, that was the thing that was like that made them kind of cool to me, was reading that comic and a few others that I had, and not really the movies. But I guess fourth time is the charm, because this is the fourth theatrically released live action Fantastic Four movie, if you don't count the 90s one that never came out, because it didn't really, well, it came out, but it didn't get released in theaters like they planned on. Well, like the actors and crew planned on. The studio were gonna fucking kill that thing no matter what, and that's a damn shame to the people who worked on it, because they seemed genuinely passionate about this movie that they were making, especially the guy who played Dr. Doom. Super passionate about the character and the franchise, and they just completely let all of those guys down. all the people involved with making that movie, and that really sucks that that happened. And as well as not being like a big Fantastic Four fan, I, like a lot of people, have been in a very awkward position with the MCU for the last few years. No Way Home was like their last real high in my opinion, and everything after that I've seen anyway has kind of been hit or miss. I really did not like Thor Love and Thunder, and I was very excited for that movie because I enjoyed Ragnarok a lot, but Love and Thunder was like a fucking parody of Ragnarok. It was not a fun time. And I did really like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, even though it's kind of a weird movie with some strange choices. I kind of liked like the Sam Raimi weird fucking magical horror aspect of it. I don't know what else to call it, but there was a lot of strange horror elements and just random cool visual shit in that movie. I liked it a lot. It had some good action scenes. It felt like a very fun adventure movie for Doctor Strange. And then Deadpool and Wolverine was, I haven't seen the other two Marvel movies that came out this year. I only saw, last one I saw was Deadpool and Wolverine, which is like a year ago now, around this time, I think, actually. And I had, I never really talked about it on anything because I wasn't doing movie reviews on my main channel at the time, and I didn't have this podcast yet. But I had a lot of mixed feelings on Deadpool and Wolverine that maybe I'll go over very quickly. I was obviously pretty excited for that movie because it was going to be Deadpool pairing up with Wolverine, which is something that I've wanted to see in a live action movie since I was like a toddler. I remember watching the Hulk vs. Wolverine cartoon when I was a kid, like the animated film, on repeat, like constantly, and I kept getting I don't know, I kept getting nostalgic vibes for that while watching Deadpool and Wolverine, which is nice, and I like some of the action, and some of it's pretty funny, and Hugh Jackman is great in it, obviously, and it's cool to see him in that yellow costume, even though I wish that they just let him wear his fucking mask, dude. I don't know why they saved that till the very end, but it was, that fucking hurts me to my core. But I did not like the very visually bland setting that they were in. I thought the idea of like this abandoned wasteland of, forgotten Marvel movie properties was a funny and clever idea, but visually it is just an empty desert, and it doesn't have that much to offer except for a few Easter eggs hidden out in the sand. And I enjoyed the other two Deadpool movies, but I found Deadpool to be kind of a fucking insufferable asshole at points in this film. Like, I get that he's in a weird place in like his character arc or whatever. He's really going through it. He can't get into the Avengers, and nobody seems to care about him anymore. But, like, holy shit, man, he is a fucking dick in this movie, and he just kind of comes off as whiny at points, and his motivation is harder to get behind because it doesn't feel like it's as well thought out as it was in the first two Deadpool movies, because, say what you will about the first two Deadpool movies, there's definitely problems with those ones too. They're not perfect, that's for sure, but they do have quite a bit of heart, surprisingly, and They both had very fun action and very cool set pieces, which I feel like this movie was very much lacking in good set pieces at points. There was the car fight, and there was the other short fight against Wolverine, which I really enjoyed. And I obviously enjoyed the like one take fight scene of them fighting all the other Deadpools at the end of the movie. But certain fights, like when they teamed up with all of those forgotten characters and went to go fight a bunch of forgotten villains, that shit was really fucking disappointing. And the way that they treated some of these, like, legacy characters, like, I know that it's meant to be funny and kind of poking fun, but, like, Jesus Christ, some of it was just kind of cruel. Like, what Deadpool does to fucking Johnny Storm, just, like, completely throws him under the bus and then has him get brutally murdered for it. It makes it hard for me to want to root for Deadpool when he's so willing to throw random people that he barely knows under the bus like that. Like, it feels like he hasn't... Any of the development that he went through as a character in the first two movies feels a little bit undone here, which is a shame. And I just don't think Sean Levy is a good choice for this. I'm not a huge Sean Levy fan. None of his movies really do it for me, especially not something like Free Guy. And I'm also like half sure that he's a Zionist or whatever. It's just kind of hard to watch a movie from somebody who's fucking hateful piece of shit. I see a lot of people say stuff like they have Pedro Pascal fatigue, which I'll get to. I think that shit's kind of dumb. But if I was to say that about any actor, even though I think the whole, like, I have fatigue of seeing this person too much thing is cringe, like I just said, if I had to pick somebody, it would be Ryan Reynolds, okay? I am pretty fucking sick of Ryan Reynolds. I never was a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. I didn't really get the hype for him all those years ago, where like every single straight dude over the age of 30 for some reason could not stop talking about how hot he was and how they wanted to fuck him. It was pretty interesting. Maybe you guys aren't as straight as you think you are, but hey, you know, that's you for you to figure out, not for me. And he works for me as Deadpool, but I don't think that he's the only person who can play Deadpool, like people say. Like, people talk about him like he's up there with like Robert Downey Jr. levels of like, I own this character kind of thing. And I don't really see it that way. There's been other good portrayals of Deadpool in voice acting especially, and I think that somebody else could also do Deadpool service in a live action movie, not just Ryan Reynolds. Especially since sometimes he doesn't feel that much like Deadpool to me. He feels just kind of like Ryan Reynolds in a superhero movie, because that's like how Ryan Reynolds talks in all these movies is just how he talks in real life. But yeah, anyway, I did not love that movie. I give it like a 5.5 out of 10, I guess. Very middle of the line for me. I was pretty let down with a lot of aspects of that movie. So I haven't really been that interested in seeing MCU stuff, especially not this year. I was mainly just like, superhero wise, I mainly just cared about Superman. I've been waiting for that since 2023, and I have not been waiting for Fantastic Four at all. And I definitely enjoyed Superman quite a bit more than I enjoyed Fantastic Four, but I will say, Fantastic Four is a good-ass movie, so don't get me wrong. I had a lot of fun. I do have a couple gripes with it, mainly in the aspect that there was definitely a lot of cut content here. I've seen other people point this out, but there's shit in the trailer that just doesn't happen in this movie. John Malkovich is in the trailer. He's not in the movie at all. There's certain shots from the trailer that just don't fucking happen. It feels like they cut like 10 more 20 or so minutes out of this movie, and I feel like they didn't need to. It wouldn't have hurt the run, like the pacing of this movie that much at all to put an extra like 10 to 15 minutes in. In fact, it might have helped it, because this movie feels very short at points, and like it's one of those movies where you can feel the fucking acts as they switch. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just get really into a movie and you don't notice how much time's gone by, but I could tell, like, at multiple points throughout this movie, I was like, okay, we're about an hour and 30 minutes in. There's about 20-ish minutes left of the movie now, and so this is going to be a big fight scene, I guess. And the big fight scene at the end was pretty fun. And I never really say this because some of them are too long, but I do wish it was longer. It doesn't really feel like it goes on for that long, and it doesn't feel like they get their asses kicked that bad. I'm sorry, I had to burp. Reed Richards definitely does, though. Speaking of Reed, I like Pedro Pascal as Reed. I didn't know how I felt about that at first, but I think he fits into this version of the character very well, and he's very believable in this kind of role. He has like a very soft-spoken kind of way about him. He just has this like slightly autistic awkwardness about him that I found pretty charming. I didn't know how I would feel about Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. Admittedly, I don't know why I keep saying that. Like a few other people, I don't really do fan casting that much, because like, I don't know. Usually the people who do casting know more about that. But when I saw people fan casting Mason Gooding as Johnny Storm, I kind of fucked with it, and like, I don't think that was out of the range of possibility, since Michael B. Jordan 10 years prior had played Johnny Storm as well as a black guy. So like, why couldn't Mason Gooding be Johnny Storm? And it's, oh, him and Sue are related. Okay, then Sue could have also been black, but then you guys would have thrown a fucking hissy fit about something that doesn't matter at all, like the fucking race of a superhero in a movie. The only time that a race, like the character's race, should matter that much if it's like important to them and where they come from. Like those memes years ago where people were like, Ryan Gosling as Black Panther. It's like that obviously is completely different than when somebody says a black person should play Batman, because being African is part of fucking Black Panther's character. He comes from this like secret civilization that's just nothing but black people who are like tech geniuses, so it only makes sense for him to be black. It's part of his like lore. And Batman Nowhere in his lore or story at all or character is it necessary for that to be a white guy. It doesn't make a difference what race Batman is. Any like that, like what why would he need to be white? Can only white people be fucking rich or something? Like, come on. I've seen some good Batman fan castings that are all kinds of races before, and I just think that like we should be going for that kind of thing. We need to go for somebody who gets the feel of the character and like sounds like him and can bring that like kind of stoic, serious energy to this lighthearted DCU. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm talking about DC again. But I like Joseph Quinn a lot as Johnny Storm. I'd say he's probably my favorite of the four, followed by Reed, honestly, which I wasn't expecting. I never knew that I was this big of a Mr. Fantastic fan until I saw this movie. And that's one of the gripes I have as well, is that this guy barely gets to use his fucking powers, man. There's like, for like the first 2 acts of the movie, the most that he's doing with his stretching powers is like reaching over and grabbing something from far away or pulling a lever from the back of the ship. It's not until that very final conflict that we really get to see him do some stretching, or in that opening as well, which is pretty fun, where he kicks that fucking gorilla into the ocean or whatever. That was cool, but like I would have loved to see more of his power sets, because I think it's really cool, and I think it's so stupid that for years Marvel acted like that was something that was out of the range of possibilities for them. Like, oh no, we can't make the stretching look good. How? How can you not? You have so much money. You made a giant purple alien dude look pretty good. You can make a stretching character. Like, Netflix did it with the live action One Piece pretty fucking well. And I think that from a few years ago was kind of like proof to Marvel that you could definitely make it work in live action. They're just kind of, they were too scared to try or something, or just too lazy. I don't really know. But that shit used to bother me, because I saw a lot of fans perpetuating that same excuse. It drives me crazy. The same with like that, you don't really hear it as much anymore these days, thankfully, but like 10 years ago, whenever I would see a video about like all the different canceled Flash movies, the person making it would usually say something like, to be fair, the Flash is pretty much impossible to adapt to the screen. No, he's not. No, he's fucking not. Like, I hate that excuse of like, oh, he's so overpowered, he's impossible to write for. Then how do they have thousands of comics about the guy? Like, you just need to be creative enough to do that. I'm not saying that I am, but I'm saying that there's definitely people out there who can make a Flash movie really good. Andy Muschietti almost made a pretty decent one. I would have loved to see Reed use his powers more, but I did love his presence in this movie, as he is sort of the leader of their group. He always has been, and he definitely has that kind of vibe that I think he needed as a character, where he's a good and smart leader, but he's also kind of an awkward, messy guy, so he needs the support of these other people. It's not just like he tells them what to do. They're very much like a teamwork heavy, we're all going to put our minds into this operation kind of team. And I enjoyed Ben Grimm a lot in this movie. I've seen some people say that he's one of the more boring ones. To be honest, I didn't really find any of them to be that boring, which is nice, because they kind of were in like the other Fantastic Four movies. That was one of the things that like never clicked fully about them for me because of those movies, was that they seemed kind of boring because those movies made them fucking boring. They all work a lot more in this one. Johnny Storm is funny and charming without being a fucking asshole like the other two were. Like, can you do you remember how much those other fucking Johnny Storms, like, they just sucked? Like, the writers didn't get the relationship that Ben and Johnny have until now. This like buddy kind of, they're friends, they're clearly good friends. It's that kind of like relationship that everybody's probably had with a friend before, where you're just like constantly giving each other shit and poking fun at each other, but it's all like in the name of fun. You obviously don't hate this guy, or else you wouldn't hang out with him, you know? But in the other movies, Johnny was just a fucking bully. Like, the only thing I can remember from Fant4stic, one of the only things, is when they were trying to come up with the team name at the end, which is one of the worst scenes ever, by the way. That shit is so corny. But when I don't remember exactly what he says. He's just like, it's not even clever. He says like, how about 2 guys, a girl, and a thing nobody asked for? Dude, Chill the fuck out. You're such an asshole. And same with Chris Evans' Johnny Storm, in my opinion, because he was just kind of a fucking bully who made Ben's life a little bit hard. But like he at least like kind of fucking chilled out near the end. But he, the first one anyway. But in the second one, I do remember when I did watch that, like the first half of that movie, he's just right back to being a dick again, kinda. And even Ben's girlfriend has to be like, Johnny, you're the fucking worst. You just suck, dude. Like, he just doesn't care. He just doesn't give a shit. But this Johnny is charming and fun and quirky, I guess. I don't like saying quirky. That's what came to my mind. But he's a fun guy, and he kind of has that, like, he has this, like, slightly awkwardness about him, which I wasn't expecting to like at first, but it grew on me because it makes it more charming that he's like this, he acts kind of like this hot-headed, like, no pun intended, hot-headed fucking pompous kind of guy who likes to flirt with ladies, and he likes to crack jokes, but he's also kind of just fucking awkward when it actually comes down to shit like that. Like when he's trying to, Silver Surfer gets on their fucking ship or whatever, and he's just like, hey. Like that is very good. I like that a lot. So Joseph Quinn definitely grew on me as his character, and he does look a lot like the character in the comics, so that was nice. And I really enjoyed Sue in this movie. I feel like they actually gave her a bit more to do. I've seen some people saying that she's like the main character of this, if anybody, and I kind of see that. While her husband might be the leader of the team, I guess, she still is like the fucking rock that makes it work. Like, if she wasn't there, he wouldn't know what the fuck to do ever. Like, he needs to go to her for advice sometimes, and they need to kind of talk things out and be on the same page before he does something crazy, which he likes to do. They made her powers actually pretty fun in this one too, because I've always found invisibility and like her like fucking shield ability to be kind of the weakest of the power sets in this group, which I still kind of feel that way, but I like the way that they utilized it. They made it actually interesting for once. They still do kind of do this sin at the end where she's just like, all she's doing is like standing there and going like, ah, but it was cool this time, and she didn't get a nosebleed, so hey. But she did fucking die, so that happened. But I mean, that baby brought her back, so it's okay. That CGI ass baby, well, he was, I don't know if he was always CGI, but he definitely was sometimes, and it was a little distracting. But I wasn't really expecting that to be part of the plot until all the trailers or whatever. I guess it makes a lot more sense since it's called First Steps, even though this motherfucker did not take his first steps in this movie. We don't see him walk at all, actually, so I kind of want my money back for that. And obviously, and they do the villains of the Fantastic Four a bit more justice too. I liked Mole Man in this movie. I thought he was pretty funny, although I wish that he looked more like a mole man. Like you like the guy from Superhero Squad. That's how I got introduced to him, was the Superhero Squad PS2 game from back in the day. But the guy playing him, I recognized him for some reason, but I can't put my finger on who he is exactly, but he was very fun. And I wish that we could have seen more of him and like Reed's beef that they had or whatever, because the one scene is pretty good. I also wish that we could have seen them fight more in general. Like I said, it's all kind of saved to the end, and there's also that cool space scene where they're escaping from the Silver Surfer, but like the beginning of this movie really runs through everything quickly. It's like, and then they did this, and then they did this, and then they did this, and it's like, well, I would have liked to see some of that. I would have liked to see them fight Mole Man and his goons, and I would have liked to see them fight that gorilla guy, but I'll take what I can get, and I think it ultimately services the world building pretty well to be like, these guys are established heroes in their own Earth. I think it's Earth 838 or 834 or something like that, based around Jack Kirby, who they have a quote from at the end of this, which is very nice. I like that a lot. But it's nice that they were like this established team of heroes already. Everybody fucks with them, and they've already had like many battles. We're just kind of jumping into the middle of their story. They've been doing this for probably a few years now, so we don't kind of get rehashings of the same things that we did in all the other ones, where we kind of see Ben Grimm being all depressed about his new condition, and Reed and Sue are like doing their little will they won't they flirty bullshit. It just takes us and drops us right into like the middle of like, here they are, this shit's been established. It's kind of the same vibe as the Superman movie in that way, where it's like picking up a comic book off the shelf and just reading like a random issue, like issue 8 of some fucking series that you've never read before. And I think that was really nice for this movie to be the complete, like, they do obviously talk about their origins briefly, but they don't spend that much time on it, and I appreciate that because we've seen it twice. It kind of gave me Incredibles vibes in that way. I think that's always been like the case as well, because the Incredibles are definitely based off the Fantastic Four, but like setting it in the 60s or whatever and having all these cool, like their cool flying car and certain action set pieces, it definitely felt like an Incredibles movie, which is good because I like the Incredibles. I like the first one a lot. Still, that's probably still the best Fantastic Four movie, honestly. But I like that. I like that it feels like this is taking inspiration from the thing that they technically inspired. Like they're almost trading good ideas with each other, and I thought that was very smart to try to kind of appeal to that type of story, that type of fun, family drama based, but also like comedic fun superhero thing. And obviously Galactus in this movie is fucking so cool, dude. I knew it would be cool to see Galactus on like done properly in a live action movie, but I didn't expect to like it this much. It felt like seeing Thanos for the first time or something. Like when they first go and meet him and just like those eyes lighting up that massive dark fucking cavernous spot of this ship where he just sits, where all these wires are plugged into him, and he is fucking massive, like just as big as I'd hoped he'd be for years. And it fucking baffles me that the 2007 Rise of the Silver Surfer movie or whatever, they thought that like that wasn't gonna be cool to people, like a giant fucking Godzilla ass alien who fucking towers above all these towers and skyscrapers. They thought a giant cloud would be cooler, which is like the same thing they did with Green Lantern. It's not cool. These giant dust clouds are not better designs than the ones from the comics. I'm sorry to break it to you. But yeah, he was really fucking cool looking in this movie, and the fight against him at the end was a lot of fun. The Silver Surfer was also a lot of fun. I saw a lot of people, idiots I should say, freaking out about that before the movie came out too, just like they were with the Pedro Pascal casting. Like there's like these fully grown men who would spam like any ad on Instagram or something with comments like, "Not my fucking Reed Richards. Not my fucking Reed Richards, dude." Why? Why do people hate Pedro Pascal so much? Like I said that earlier, but the whole "I have Pedro Pascal fatigue" thing is so cringe to me, because it's like, sorry, he's a busy actor and he's pretty good. Like I don't really have any major opinions on him, and he's not like my favorite actor or anything, but like goddamn, this hatred seems so baseless, and it's just because people don't like seeing like sorry, it seems like dudes just don't like it when an actor like this gets popular and all like a bunch of women think that he's hot and shit. It seems like dudes take offense to that idea. They're like, what? Now women think I hot. Why do they think Pedro Pascal hot? Now time for me to say racist things about him. And same with Silver Surfer. Like I said, a lot of people were upset that Silver Surfer was a woman in this movie, even though apparently that's a thing in the comics too. So I guess people really just love showing how they don't get things from the comics ever. I see that happen a lot. You see stuff where it's like someone tries to use something as a criticism against a new superhero movie, like something like Superman or whatever, and they name why one aspect of it is bad and like, oh, they shouldn't have changed that, but like it's literally from the comic books, so you're kind of outing yourself as not knowing as much about this as you claim you do. Yes, Julia Gardner, I couldn't remember her name for a second for some reason, but she was in Wolfman, which I also saw earlier this year, and I keep forgetting I saw that movie, and she's going to be in the upcoming Weapons, so I'm pretty excited for that. I personally thought Silver Surfer was really fucking cool in this movie. It was so cool to watch her fucking zip around through that black hole and stuff, and how persistent she was at just getting the job done. And even though it's short and it feels like they kind of skipped around a bit, Johnny figuring out her home language and translating all of these messages to her to kind of get her to change her mind a little bit and join them near the end was a very nice addition, I thought. It also really shows that Johnny Storm is a lot smarter and craftier than people like to give him credit for. The dude figured out an entire... Well, he didn't figure out the whole language, but he figured out enough to be able to speak to her just from, like, transcribing these messages, which is fucking crazy and really cool. And obviously, like I said, all the space stuff is really cool, too. We don't get as much as I would have hoped for from, like, a Fantastic Four movie, because I know going to space is, like, pretty much their whole thing. Like, and they do a lot of crime fighting on Earth, too, but I've heard that they do crime fighting primarily to fund these fucking space missions, these space escapades or whatever, going out to all these different planets and shit. And if they do a sequel to this movie, I really hope we get like a full-blown Fantastic Four in space ass sequel where they have to go to different planets and different galaxies. I don't know if we are, though, because I know that this is going to bleed like right into Avengers Doomsday, and then apparently the Marvel's going to reboot itself completely, so who fucking knows what's going on. I have a feeling, though, that if anything, these guys have a chance of surviving the overall reboot. They could be one of like the fresh faces going forward, because I know they want to like use X-Men as kind of like the catalyst of like this new universe, like the kicking it off or whatever. And I feel like these guys could definitely exist in the newer MCU, but that's part of the fun of this movie, is that it doesn't really rely on being attached to the MCU at all. Like I said, it's in a completely different Earth, in a different fucking universe than the main one. And I think it's better for that reason. It doesn't really even mention or make nods to other MCU properties, and it's just nice to have a completely separate, very simple and likable superhero movie, because that's one of the things that I enjoyed so much about it, was its simplicity. We really don't get superhero movies that feel like this simple and well thought out these days or whatever. Like the last one I can think of was Blue Beetle, where they both kind of have this early 2000s vibe of just like, let's just make a good solid movie, and it doesn't really have to matter what the fuck else is going on in this universe or if there's other superheroes or whatever. It's just a fun time. But because it's so simple and it feels like it got cut down a bit more than what it was, I feel like certain aspects of it don't get as much attention as they should. Ben doesn't really get that much attention aside from like certain fun scenes that he's in. Like we see him starting to develop feelings for this teacher lady, but there's only like 3 scenes of her in the whole movie, and we don't really see that much of a conclusion to her. But I mean, he just kind of goes there and fucking flirts with her a little bit before the world's supposed to end. I don't know how you're gonna hit that, though. I think that would kill you if the thing fucked you. I think that would kill you. And they also don't really show how he feels too much about like being the thing. There's only like 2 scenes I can think of off the top of my head that shows any semblance of his opinions on it, and it's the one like really short thing where he's like looking at the TV footage of how he used to look, and then the power goes out and you can see his face reflecting on the screen how he is now, and he looks pretty bummed out. I thought that was a pretty cool shot, but it doesn't really have that much merit in the movie. It doesn't really hold that much weight because like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it bothers him that much being the thing. Like there's a scene where Reed almost seems extremely apologetic and still torn up about the fact that he didn't predict what would happen to them, and that his friend had to end up like that, but he kind of shoots it down immediately. He's like, hey, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I wasn't really familiar with the director of this movie, Matt Shakman, I think is how you say it. He did WandaVision, which I haven't seen because I haven't seen any of the Disney Plus Marvel shows because I don't have fucking Disney Plus. So, and I don't really want to get Disney Plus that bad either. People for years now, they've been like, oh dude, trust me, you gotta watch WandaVision, you gotta watch Loki. I don't really want to that much, I'm sorry. But this guy clearly likes his kind of like 60s, 50s aesthetics, because I'm pretty sure that was a big part of WandaVision as well. And I think that plays really well here, but like I said, I do wish they leaned into it a bit more. Like, apparently Pedro Pascal kind of wanted to do like this transatlantic 60s accent the whole time, but they wouldn't let him. And I feel like Ben Grimm also didn't sound as much like I expected him to. He just kind of sounds like a normal dude, which works because it humanizes him a lot. But I kind of wish that he had this he also had this I'm from Brooklyn kind of accent, you know? But it's whatever. It's not something that was distracting or that big of a deal for me. And there were some genuinely funny moments in this movie too. I don't usually find a lot of MCU humor to be that funny anymore, aside from like the Spider-Man movies maybe. But this had a lot of charming jokes in it, especially near the end when they're trying to make a quick getaway in their thing and their fantastic car thing, whatever the fuck it is, and they put they like strap this baby in. They're trying to strap it in, I mean, and this like car seat that they have, or that Reed probably designed, is so over the top and like hard to fucking set up. It takes like all three of them like fucking talking over each other and trying to get it or whatever. And that was very fun. It was very fun how Joseph Quinn just kept going. It's threaded. It's through the hole. It's threaded through the hole. But yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about this movie. Sorry that I'm cutting this podcast episode a little bit short. I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie aside from I like it. I'll give it like a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8. But I'm leaning more towards 7. 7's good, don't get mad at me. 7's good and I like this movie. But also I'm recording this very early in the morning and I'm also very, very hungry right now. So I think I'm gonna head out. But if you do want to see a bit more podcasts, if you missed last week's episode, I talked about with my friend Trist about a bunch of random shit for like over an hour, maybe like an hour and 20 minutes, I can't remember. So go check that out. I also have more podcasts coming out soon, obviously, but I think I might have to take a break from it at some point around episode 15 just so I can focus a bit more on editing other content, because I have to edit for 3 channels now, which is kind of my own fault. I did it to myself. I do this podcast channel now, and I obviously still need to edit for my main channel, and I obviously still need to edit for Auburn Rats as well, because I'm the only editor for Auburn Rats, and we haven't posted a video in like 2 weeks by the time I'm recording this. Don't tell anybody, shh. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you thought about Fantastic Four First Steps. I like it quite a bit. I hope that there's kind of a follow-up, because this is like the first MCU movie I've watched in a while that has left me wanting more from these characters, and in a good way, because I feel like what we got was a lot of fun, but I definitely want to see these guys developed a bit more, and I honestly would not complain if these guys got their own whole like trilogy. Or maybe you should do 4 films because it's the Fantastic Four, but I don't know what's going to happen, obviously. But I had a lot of fun with this movie. I've said that a lot of times, but that's the best way to sum it up. It's a fun, cute little movie, very good kind of family movie. It's also, the pacing of it is really good for anybody can get into this because it's so quick and it flows so well in certain parts. There was a lot of people in my theater, like me and my friend had people on both sides of us at the top row, and there was just people throughout the whole fucking theater. It was pretty fucking packed, but there was a lot of kids in there, and I was kind of worried about that because I always get kind of nervous about like little kids seeing these movies, because it's not their fault, and it's not necessarily the parents' fault either, but like no matter what and how much you try to tell them that it's a movie theater and they're supposed to be quiet, they will inevitably make a very loud comment at some point in the movie. Like there was only like one little kid at the Superman movie, because we went later at night, and it was like when near the end when he was fighting I forget her name, you know, Nanomite's girl or whatever, and they like crash into the fucking ground, and it's silent for a second, and this kid, loud as fuck, just goes, "Did he die?" It's like, oh my god, just shut up, just watch the movie. No, imagine if that's so funny that that's just how kids' brains work to me or whatever. It's just like, yeah, buddy, that's the end of the movie. That's just it. Superman fucking dies. That's obviously how the movie ends. That brings me back to what I was just trying to say about Fantastic Four, my theater experience. Not one of these many kids in this movie theater said a single fucking thing for the whole movie. I was baffled at how quiet this packed theater was. There was a lot of people getting up and getting more snacks and using the bathroom and obvious shit like that, but the kids were like locked the fuck in. They shipped it up, they shut up, they just started watching the movie and they couldn't take their eyes away from it. And that made my viewing experience a lot nicer, that there wasn't like any loud kids or anything making comments. However, to the fully grown man who was like 30 years old that I was sitting next to, you're not funny. Didn't need your commentary track for so much of that movie. Because the annoying thing about him too was that he wouldn't even laugh at the jokes. He would laugh at the things that weren't funny. Like when Sue Storm was giving birth in the ship, this guy would not stop chuckling. I guess childbirth is like the funniest thing to this dude, because he was having the time of his life watching this lady scream in agony. He would also laugh, like audibly laugh out loud anytime they would just cut to the baby. The baby wasn't even fucking doing anything interesting. It would just be laying there and he'd be like, ha! Like, I wanted to, dude, shut the fuck up. Oh my god, he was right next to me. I guess I could have. But, like, I don't like to call out people in movie theaters or all of that. It's not worth it. It's never really worth it. But, yeah, that shit definitely gets annoying. Like, I'm still mad to this day about how terrible my Shazam movie theater experience was. I don't think I ever talked about that on this channel, but, that was miserable. Maybe I'll save that for another time, because I did just say that I was trying to fucking wrap this up, and I've been now going on for like 5 more minutes again, so, thank you for watching. I like this movie. 7.5 out of 10. They're all moving up. It's a good movie. I hope you liked it too. I hope there's another Fantastic Four. I hope Avengers is good, I guess. See you around. See you next week, guys.